Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can paint with just about anything, but we recommend Games and Gears brushes here on the Painting with Menoth John show. Yes, that is a shameless plug for one of our sponsors, but as you know, when it comes to integrity, it is not our long suit here on the Painting with Menoth John show. Holy crap, we're back on Twitch. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me, of course, the co-host with the host, Mr. John Spencer. Say hello to the twitchy brush heads.
Hey, Brushheads, how's it going?
Oh, we're back. Screw YouTube.
Yes, we are.
Screw YouTube. To hell with you. I shake my old man fist at you. That is what I have to say for you. Yes. All of those things. Now, there we go. All right, we're kicking ass and taking names, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We are your Sunday night extravaganza, and we are your Sunday night addiction, all in one tight thing. And somebody is playing with rattles or something. So, stop it. All right, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday night, and that must mean that it is all right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were listening to the pre-ramble, which is back for non-Patreons only because Twitch makes it easy and possible, then you will know that we are going to do a slightly different format here on the Painting with Menoth John show. We are talking about three segments each and every show. We'll only charge you for one, but we're going to give you three. And the three segments are the 15 minutes of shenanigans you've come to learn and love. We will have the beverage update. We'll have the guest update. We will have a word from our sponsor, all the kind of fun stuff that is probably the most entertaining and most watched part of the show. Then we will launch into our guest segment. We have had the reputation of short shrifting our guests. We are going to give them 30, not 29, not 28, not 31. We're going to give them 31 minutes to talk about the thing that they interrupted their Sunday night, just to be all right. And we are going to then move on to Flippity Bloops, also very popular for some reason. And that's the interactive part of the show. Basically, it's the rock that the show was built on. Would you agree with that, Mr. John Spencer?
I would, absolutely.
Sort of the Rock of Gibraltar or the Rock of Jabroni, whichever you prefer.
Not the Rock of Ages, that's different.
Absolutely not. And then after 30 minutes of all that shenanigans, as if you could stand more, we're going to take a shot of Tiger's Blood and we're going to roll into 15 minutes talking about media. You know it as the home of the Painting with Menoth John Movie Club, or it could just be what John and I watched this week. So tonight, we got a very special one, don't we, John?
We do indeed.
We're going to talk about Fury Road, so hang on to that. We're going to, we'll sell you the whole damn stream, but you're only going to need the edge. And we are, with us tonight, we have one of the folks in the community that I've known probably as long as anyone, if not longer. Probably about the only person in the community I've known longer is Chris Miller from the Lost Hemisphere days. But Craig has always been there. Oh, I'm kind of tipped our hats. Right now we have with us, we have the Lonely Monk. We have Mr. Craig Caton. Welcome to the show, Mr. Craig Caton.
Good evening, John.
It is spectacular to have you with us here tonight. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what's going on here with this Skype thing because I'm getting like double video and stuff over your head and all kinds of stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, the part of Craig Caton will be played by an adorable dog tonight. So there you go. Craig, welcome to the show.
I'm very glad to be here.
We're in high spirits tonight, folks. You can probably hear it in my voice. And you can tell by the stunned silence of my guests. And we're going to start off with a beverage update, ladies and gentlemen. I, of course, will be starting off with Mother's Milk, a little bit of Kraken in a shot glass. And you can't see it, but it is a Painting with Menoth John shot glass, not available anywhere any longer. John, how do you feel about the Painting with Menoth John glass now having a valid Twitch address once again?
I think it's really cool.
Excellent. Excellent. What will you be having this evening?
I also have a shot of Kraken in a very, very hard to get Painting with Menoth John shot glass. And I'm going to follow it up with Not Your Father's Root Beer, which is alcoholic root beer that tastes almost exactly like regular root beer.
Yep. That is actually made in Wisconsin. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
It's actually it's brewed in Illinois, in northern Illinois, and then it's bottled in Wisconsin because they know that if you want true quality in what's that? No video yet? John, are we having problems with the Twitch stream?
No, it's just Twitch being a pain for him. He needs to just hit F5 and refresh it.
Okay. Craig, I want to let you know that by doing the chat thing, I don't know that I'm getting the messages, but I also get a cool sound out of the deal too, so just to let you know.
That's why I muted it, so you didn't get a sound.
Yeah, it still comes through on my side, so it's okay. No problem. No worries.
Okay.
Anyways, we were talking about, Not Your Father's Root Beer. It is bottled in Wisconsin, not too far away from Casa John 2.0. Nothing in Wisconsin is that far from Casa John 2.0.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so we got that going on. What about you, Craig? What are you having this evening?
Well, I'm keeping it very, very dull with a grapefruit-flavored soda. Something tart and sour.
Tart and sour. That's kind of reminds me of so many things in my life, but we won't go into that right now. So
that reminds me of the Facebook groups for various War Machine and Horse factions.
Oh, wait a second. I can do that for you. There you go. You know, if we weren't on frickin' Google anymore, I could have put a little rim shot in there for you. But, hey, screw Google, too, because we're on the Skypes now also. And it just works.
We are.
It just works. We kind of like it. So
far, so good.
Exactly. So, so in memory of YouTube and Google Hangouts, you were not all that good to us over the years. So, hey, Ron. By the way, I'll be chasing that Kraken with Strongbow Golden Apple hard cider tonight.
That's good stuff.
I do like it. This one's for you, Invader Larb. Gone but not forgotten. All right, so here we are. We're into the shenanigans part of tonight's presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, we have had a lot of words from our sponsors over the time that we've been doing this. We're very blessed to have Discount Games Incorporated, Greenleaf Terrain, and Games and Gears as major sponsors here of the Painting with Menoth John Sunday Night Spectacular. But what we have mostly focused on in the past has been War Machine and Horde's models. But I am here tonight to tell you that that is not all there is to paint in this world. There are other games. The deuce you say. The deuce you say, Menoth John. I am going to bring on tonight a special guest and special model for tonight's show. Ladies and gentlemen, straight from the trenches of a pseudo-World War board game, we have with us one of the members of the Allied side. We have an ostrich model from Rivet Wars. Hello? I may not be French, but they are certainly have influenced me through their very many and varied cultural influences, as I am English, but have come down here to fight in the war. So, basically, I am pandering to the audience because nothing has been any more popular than the French Arcantric Force Generator. Now, you may be saying to yourself, why would a Rivet Wars model be on the Painting with Menoth John show? That is because the Painting with Menoth John show is all about the painting. No, the deuce you say. You say you have not seen painting Mr. Menoth John paint anything in forever? Well, I am here to tell you that the best way to get Menoth John to paint is for him to get through those goddamn trolls. And once he is through those goddamn trolls, you'll be seeing many, many, many more of me the very sexy. Here, I show you my good side. I show you my good side. Look at that. Look at that handsome profile. Look at the size of the calibers of the belly gun. I tell you, soon you'll be seeing him painting me on the show. So, he would also like you to know that he will be using the games and the gears. That is that logo over there in the corner, right here. Hello. Hello, games and gears. You're so very sexy. I will tell you that when I feel the sting of your brush against the very cold steel of my very hot ostrich-like body, that I will know that you are a great sponsor of the Painting with Menard John show. And as for you, Greenleaf Terrain, I say I have seen your comrades from Canada in the trenches, and they have been very, very stern fighters. People would not expect that of the Canadians. But I'm here to tell you, you will respect the Canadians, for they are made of maple and donuts. And they bring all the best terrain to the table. So when you need the great terrain, think of the Canadian brothers and sisters in the trenches. Not so many sisters. They do not fight in the battle. But their brothers, they are there. The sisters, they weep back in Canada. And if you need to feel the sharp tip of the brush, I highly recommend the Games and Gears. So, if you play the other games like the War Machine or the other things that Mr. J at Discount Games Incorporated stock in his warehouse of love there at Gameopolis in Idaho, then I highly recommend you go there. $50 is not so much to spend to get the free shipping. And I tell you, for the $100, pretty sure he ships international. So let me tell you. Then also, I will mention above me is the patreon.com/menothjohn if you want to support this kind of silliness all the time. So for the best in paintbrush, the Games and Gears. For the best in Canadian terrain, the Greenleaf Terrain. For the best in the War Machine and Hordes, Discount Games Incorporated. And for the best of the best, the patreon.com/menothjohn. So I will give it back now to Menoth John. Salut. Oh, thank you very much. That was absolutely priceless advertising there. You know, John, you can't put a price on advertising that good.
No, you cannot. It is priceless.
Pretty sure that wasn't supposed to be a French accent when it started out, but then I had to roll with it.
Pretty good until you cursed at the trolls. You lost it a little bit there, but pretty good otherwise. But you kept that consistently losing it. So, I mean, consistency's the key, right?
That's right. It's the sign of true leadership in advertising. I mean, we here at Painting with Menoth John Entertainment are straight up marketing geniuses. Just ask us. Speaking of marketing genius, one last thing here during the during this segment of silliness, I'm going to switch it over here to the painting cam, and you will see in front of you, straight off of the presses, the Muson Minis accessories deal. Can you dig it, John?
Oh, I can dig it.
All right, one of these is headed your way, John, just so you know. We're going to have an unbagging of the Painting with Menoth John precision measuring kit. Now, one thing that John, I don't know that was necessarily on the Muson Minis website. Were you aware that these were actually produced with real tiger's blood?
I was actually aware of that.
So they stuck a tourniquet on a tiger. John Damaris is still in the hospital, and we pray for his quick recovery. And after that, the unfortunate air quotes incident involving him and the tiger to get the tiger's blood in order to make this.
Well, he should have ducked.
He should. Ba-dum-bump. There we go. Boy, we are on the top of our game, John. We are on the top of our game, ladies and gentlemen.
Early and often.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is it.
Rim shots.
This is that. That's what she said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to see this. This is the Painting with Menoth John 6-inch version with the 1-inch and the 4-inch and the 1-inch move. This is an innovation for our kit, John. Did you know that none of the other precision measuring kits have this new style? We are the first.
Sweet.
Yep. So you can get your precision measurement done without having to use those other separate pieces. Less digging in your bag means less worrying about the hag. I just made that up. I don't really know what it means. The other thing I want to point out, the other thing I want to point out to the brushheads is, there's a glow around me, and there's a glow around the Kraken. And the reason that is because there's an actual eagle's soul that has been trapped within this particular widget, and each copy of this widget, we will actually sacrifice an eagle to add the glow to both me and the Kraken bottle, and that means that you're going to get better, more precise measurements out of this, and it will give you the bravery of 54 men. So that when you have to make those hard decisions as to which models are you going to sacrifice and which models are you going to make strategic moves with, this is it. It's the soul of the eagle, folks. It is the eye of the tiger. It is the blood of the tiger. It is the Painting with Menoth John precision measuring kit made out of 100% dead dinosaurs. So we have killed dinosaurs just to make this happen. So you get one of those. You also get its smaller version. This actually contained, because it's smaller, they didn't need the blood of an eagle. This has the spirit of a parakeet in it, and so that helps. We're trying to stay green here on Painting with Menoth John. So we didn't want to sacrifice all the eagles. We wanted to we killed a few parakeets too, and then we have blast templates that contain no souls. There are no souls wasted in the creation of these particular blast templates. You get 3 of those. You get the small, the medium, and the large. We don't have the huge ones because nobody cares. Because if you blast on a huge one, it's not going on anywhere anyway. Now, for those of you who cheat when you play War Machine and Hordes, you don't want this part. This is the part you don't want to see. This is the proxy bases, which keep you from cheating. So if you're a cheater, take these when you buy it and throw them away. You don't need these. But for those of you who care about getting a good, honest game, I recommend the use of the Painting with Menoth John Brushhead Official proxy bases. This right here translates to fuck off cheater. Right there. That's what it says. You put these down here, and we have employed 400 Chinese individuals to give us this kanji right here, which reads, "To hell with you, cheaters." Right there. Look it up. And all of that comes at a relatively reasonable price. So you can get these over at the Muson store. If you go over to musonminis.com, and it is on the front page for right now. I can't guarantee that it will always be there. If they're smart, they will always have it there. But for right now, it's on the front page. And to my knowledge, there are a limited number of these available. So you want to get over there. I think the number that Nigel told me was that they had made 7. Clearly, they do not understand the power of the Brushhead Nation.
Yeah, they got to triple that at least.
I would if I were them. But, I'm not them. So let's show them that they don't understand supply chain economics. Get out there and let's break that site. Let's bring it down with all of the Brushhead traffic. And there you go. That is the precision measuring kit from Painting with Menoth John. When you think of the soul of an eagle, think precision measuring with Painting with Menoth John. So we have gone 3 minutes over our new format, John. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think we'll live.
Okay. Right now, we're going to put it over onto the painting cam one more time. And you'll notice we're still using the slick waving motion kind of a thing. That's super sweet. And but we haven't added the camera that shows you guys. And I'm a little disappointed in that. So I'm going to add that right now. This is some pretty high-tech crap we're doing right now. I'm going to add, while we are live streaming, I am adding a feature. There you go. We are now fully showing both Craig as a very cute dog, John as a very handsome man, and a Tuffalo that needs some paint. So let's go ahead and let's paint a little bit, because this is Painting with Menoth John, and let's go ahead and let's talk to Craig Caton about his fabulousness. Hi, Craig. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
We are about ready to talk a little bit. First thing we want to talk a little bit about is your Chasing the Fez challenge, and I'm going to bring up actually a little scene that I got here that shows that we can do a little we can do a little presentation here. Craig,
okay.
Tell us a little bit. Tell the Brushheads, if you will, what Chasing the Fez is all about.
Well, it actually started right at the end of 2014. Swapping emails with a number of people what are you going to do for 2015? And Dale, better known as the Fez, said he wanted to get his pigs painted.
For those I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Craig, but for those of you who don't know who Dale is, we're talking about Dale Kuntz of the Thaco podcast and formerly of the Pod Thralls.
Yep.
So there you go. Just wanted to mention that because they may not know who Dale is.
That's okay. And basically, we went back and forth with a few emails and got a couple of suggestions from some other friends, and it wound up being something we've been posting to Lost Hemisphere not as often as I'd like. Basically, he got to paint first to give himself a lead, and so somewhere around the 10th or the 15th of January, he started painting a 6-model unit of slaughterhousers, and basically, I didn't get to do anything until after he finished it, and that's what was called Stage 1.
Okay.
That was Dale's Stage 1. And the idea is he gets a head start, and I have to paint Stage 1 and get on to Stage 2 to be on the same stage with him. And if I finish Stage 2 before he finishes Stage 2, then I have the hat. I get the Fez.
Nice.
Basically, if I pass him, I get the Fez. And of course, the carrot besides the hat is I get to pick what I'm going to paint instead of painting what he wants to paint. Because if he's painting a unit, I've got to try to match the unit. If he's painting a caster, I've got to paint it, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Well, considering, somewhere around the 20th of February, he finished the Slaughterhousers, and 4 or 5 days later, I had a 10-model unit of Bog Trogs done. And he picked Rosh and Brine for Stage 2. And, the only thing I had painted for Gators was Wrong Eye and Snapjaw, so I wasn't going to strip them and redo them because I'm quite happy with the little buggers. I picked Gatorman Witch Doctor and a Black-Eyed Wrestler to paint.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't start that immediately because I didn't want to just blow right past him. I worked on a couple of other things and did this and that, and other things like Adepticon got in the way. And so sometime in April, I finished the Gator and the Black-Eyed, and I decided to do a caster. So I painted up. I have got Jaga Jaga done,
mm-hmm.
and then I did Rask. So Jaga Jaga is Stage 3, Rask is Stage 4, and in that picture right there over on the right, you can see Maylock that I started on today, which is Stage 5.
So
because
go ahead.
Dale has a go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, finish.
Dale has a very, very crazy life, very busy, and he hasn't finished Stage 2 yet. But he says seeing me continue on with this does help him. So, I was trying for a while to, basically I was posting everywhere I could, anything I could to try to poke him and prod him and everything else. And when you don't have the time, you just don't have the time to paint. So.
No, but we're here to tease Dale a little bit too. But so
yeah.
First thing I want to do here is I want to show everybody on the screen right now. I've got a picture of the amazing painting station that you have, and I'm going to tell you.
You mean the messy desk?
The messy desk, and you know what? I'm just here to tell you that everybody's desk doesn't necessarily need to be neat. The idea here is to put some effort against it. And that's one of the things we really stand for here on Painting with Menoth, John, is you don't have to be the best. You don't have to even be, close to the best. You just have to have fun. And you know what? It looks like there's been a lot of fun that's happened at this table. I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah. And that's after I clean it up.
Exactly. And one of the things I also want to point out to the brush heads here is that's a wet palette you got there, and looks like a very economy-driven wet palette.
You mean I've used it a lot?
Well, you've used it a lot, and it probably... What kind of wet palette are you using there? Is that a commercial one?
It's a P3 that I replaced. I replaced their packing material sponge with a kitchen sponge.
There you go.
And my way of doing it is I wrap the kitchen sponge in a paper towel, and then I put the parchment paper over the top of that.
See, my only point there, Craig, was the fact that you don't have to spend $1 billion on these things. This is just something that, and as I've kind of been working with my wet palette, I've really enjoyed the results. It's amazing the difference that it makes as far as being able to blend colors and being able to have your colors not dry out. It's a big deal.
Yeah. If you're doing it straight out of the pot, you're not doing it right.
Yep. The only thing I do like doing straight out of the pot is I like right now the brush heads can't see it right now, is I'm doing a lot of dry brushing on the metals of this particular Tuffalo, and I'll take that straight out of the old pot, and then I just kind of wipe it off on a paper towel, and that gives me that's dry brushing. That's an entirely different technique. For regular painting, the wet palette will change the way that you're doing your painting.
It's funny. I put the metals on the wet palette and then get a small amount of them on the brush that way.
Nice. That's a great. There's a lot of different ways to skin the cat, so to speak. Skin that painting cat. The next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to show some of the pictures that you sent me. We're going to get to those minions that we talked about, but I'd like to start off with we've got some trolls here and we've got some Scorn. How long ago were you painting these models, Craig?
Within the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, nice. And I know
basically I did Jaga Jaga, I did the Scorn battle group, I did Rask, I did the Troll battle group, and that was a quick commission that I handed over this weekend to a friend of mine.
Oh, cool. Were they going for a press gang kind of a thing?
Yeah, somebody wants all of the battle boxes, and he's working on a mercenary army, and he had 2 more to finish, so we worked out a deal.
No, that works out super sweet. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this on to the next slide here, Craig, and we're going to bring up the many faces of Rask. This is amazing. If you talk about some colors that are very difficult, especially for new folks to get kind of a hang of, oranges, yellows, reds are very difficult. But what I love about these models, Craig, is that you've done a great job of blending the colors. Were there any particular techniques or any brush tips that you want to give to the brush heads around how you were able to achieve these particular effects?
Spot of flow improver, matte medium on the wet palette, and use that with the brush to thin the paint to get a thinner layer, so when you lay it down it doesn't cover quite as thickly.
Interesting. For
the orange, to give it some contrast, I made a glaze of sanguine base, and that's why there's the scales have a lot of contrast in there.
Wow, that's really interesting because sanguine is such a dark burgundy, and
but
you
send it out.
Nice.
Send it out a lot. In
that's
fact,
really
it took
cool.
2 or 3 coats to do that.
That's amazing. That's really good technique there. That's good. That's good tech for you out there, brush heads.
All the rest of it, I started with Khador highlights and went to Hearthfire, and no, there was another one in between. I worked down through the P3 range. If I had my color charter, I could tell you what they all were, but it wound up with the extreme highlights being Cygnus yellow.
Oh, nice. And in and of themselves, each of those colors is relatively difficult to work with, but because you've used them in the way that you've used them, they have some really beautiful effects to them.
Thin layers.
It's all about patience, isn't it?
It's easy. I know. Doctors bury their mistakes. Painters strip them and do them again.
That's some great stuff right there. And then let's move. Here's Jaga Jaga. I really, really like this model.
That's a crazy model.
I've been, some more recent models have been really amazing. I think some of the brush heads have been over to the Painting with Menoth John Facebook page and have seen the fire eaters that I did up on there. And the amount of detail in those fire eaters is amazing. And here we are. We have Jaga Jaga and her Tetzelworm, her dead Tetzelworm, mind you. And you've had, this is the first, I think, kind of albino kind of gator Jaga Jaga that I've seen.
Well, it's really quite a bit of blue with a lot of very light blue and white dry brushing and glazing over it. Mm-hmm. And the amount of detail, between the bones and the feathers and everything else. Mm-hmm. I actually, somebody sent me a quick list of deadly Australian snakes. I bet you can guess who did that.
Probably some Canadian guy in Canada.
Yeah, red-bellied black snake or something like that, and a common death adder is in there too.
What the hell is up with everything in Australia trying to kill you?
I really don't know.
I mean, even Trent Dennison wants you dead, and he's like, normal. Not you.
But I'll tell
Not you personally.
Anybody who's assembling her, that great big tassel worm on her left arm, you got to put a pin in there because it's a good contact point, but there's so much weight. That's what you're gonna grab to move her around, and if you don't lock it down, it's gonna come off.
So, Craig, do you pin a lot, or are you a fan of the glue green stuff glue technique, or what do you think of the?
I use the green stuff glue occasionally, but my rule of thumb is if it might come off, pin the damn thing.
Okay. I can't. I'm a shitty pinner, so I glue green stuff glue like frickin' everything.
Practice. That's all it takes.
My shit doesn't break, so I don't mess with it. So
That's fair.
Anyway, so this is beautiful, though. This is absolutely beautiful. I especially like here in the Tetzel worm, you've got the blending that's going on between the more purpley skin and then the more aqua colored fins. I think that's just beautiful.
Well, you had to figure out some way to make the skin look dead. So
I also like the green stripe along the bottom of the base there. I'm just kidding. I know that's just green stuff, so just giving you a hard time.
That's covered up now, so.
Amen. All right, let's move on here. We've got some black-eyed wrastler, and we've got a witch dock croc. I have not done my witch dock croc yet. I really like yours.
Well, I can tell you that that's got almost as crazy a details as Jaga Jaga. One thing you might notice is on the knife in his left hand.
Yeah.
I always figured gators are going to have a lot of stone weapons.
Yep.
I don't think they're doing a lot of making bronze to steel, and I don't think there's a lot of merchants out there that are going to walk up and say, "Hey, would you like to buy this? Oh, by the way, you're going to go in the stew pot." So I dug around and found a website where a guy makes obsidian and other stone weapons, and I mean you can't see the shading on the blade side up there, but that's okay. The black-eyed wrastler's just got subtle shadings on it for on the tail and everything else.
Oh, I can see that. I can see the more light color and the more dark green color that you go with on the tail. And I'll be honest with you, Craig, I've seen a lot of gators, and I have not seen that particular pattern. That's a lot of that's a pain in the butt, to be very honest with you.
Not really. It was a light dry brush, and then the base color for that wrastler is thornwood green. It's kind of a greenish brown.
Yep.
And I took, Menoth white base and dry brushed it on the tail, and then I just took a thick glaze of the same color, the thornwood green, and went over it.
Yeah,
and
so
it just blended it in, blurred everything, and it was actually easy to do.
So that's a pro tip for you, brushheads. I mean, sometimes the key to a very difficult or complex looking paint job is just kind of knowing the tricks of the trade, and that's why what we try to do here on Painting with Menoth John when we get maybe some of our more painting oriented guests on here is to try to share those little tricks of the trade that, like I think it was a week or two ago, we talked about how I did the flames and smoke for the fire eaters. There's a nice technique for you for how to do gator skin. So, that's something that you can apply to other models as well. So, terrific job. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Craig.
No, not a problem. Thank you.
Let's go ahead and let's bring up another picture. And I believe this might be the last one. Yes, this is slide 7 of 7. We got us some ambushers here. By the way, F those ambushers. They're beautiful, but F those guys. Yeah.
Okay.
They come in and make my life sad. But these are beautiful.
Well, I mean, the big thing with the ambushers, since Privateer Press came out with some write-ups on how bog trogs work in the role-playing game and in No Quarter, we know the darn things are chameleons of sorts, so you can do them almost any color you want.
Very cool. I was not aware of that. I haven't picked up the Unleashed or whatever the hell it's called, the new RPG.
Now, one of the No Quarters has also got a write-up on them that it changes with mood and with the background and with the temperature, and you can do almost anything you want with it.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. I love these guys, and I can't tell you the amount of consternation and stress they've caused me over the years, coming in from the side, and man, CMA and all the other nonsense that comes with them. They are just amazing models.
They were a lot of fun.
I think they were pretty. Go ahead.
Anything that makes the table narrower for you usually makes the game easier. So
I'm thinking that I would want to. I might want to experiment with these guys in Trolls because maybe I can bring a bricky list and then you got the ambushers in that list, and maybe they're going to force some guys to the center right into the strong part of your brick.
Exactly.
Nice.
I've got a Kaya 1 list that has them and some like Scarsfell Griffins, so I can completely move the majority of my army to one side or the other if I need to.
Oh, that's some terrific tech there, John. Let's go ahead and let's back off of this here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put up the painting cam again here. I'm working on these Tuffalos here. I'm kind of dry brushing the living crap out of them with the silver here. And let's go on and talk a little bit more about Captain Con. You are one of the prime movers on one of the hot new cons on the scene. This is your second year?
It's our second year. We financed it again with a Kickstarter, which is fully funded.
Yay!
So it's going to happen, and we know that we've got. I think the last count was a little over 200. It was definitely over 200 people coming already.
Fantastic.
And of course, people are still going to the New England Privateers website to buy more tickets and all the other goodies we have up there.
What is the URL? That's Tech Talk, by the way. What is the URL of the Privateers?
neprivateers.com.
Nice. There you go, folks. Get on over there. What are some of the highlights that you see coming down the pipe here for the that the Brushheads might be interested in related to the Captain Con?
Well, the New England Team Tournament has always been one of our favorites. That was the event that kind of got us rolling on this, considering if we're going to rent a hotel room for 12 hours to run the tournament, what's the difference between that and a whole weekend? Well, just a much bigger expense. We have a War Machine weekend qualifier.
Yay.
We have multiple Infinity events with I think there's a championship at the end. We have a number of Malifaux events. We've got some 40K. We've got, Star Wars Attack Wing, X-Wing. Last I heard, I think we have somebody doing Armada.
Nice.
Got a board game library. Let's see what else. Vendor area. We've got a huge role-playing game area. I think it's Boston Pathfinder is coming in with a number of game masters and basically running Pathfinder and a couple of other game systems pretty much all weekend, starting at like 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night or midnight every night, as well as there are areas for people to come in and run RPGs. As I said, there's a board game library.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, give them an ID, borrow a board game, play it as long as you want. And I think most of the audience probably knows what Iron Arena is, right?
I would think so. You guys invented it.
I'd hope so.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. For legal things, we changed the name of it to Captain's Log. So if you play a tournament of anything, you get points. If you play a casual game of anything, you get points. And we also have a demo area. So from like 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, we have demos going on, and those count for points too.
Oh, that's very innovative.
That's a good way for people who are promoting games to come in, and that way we funnel people in their direction. And there's a big prize pool. We take almost anything we can get, including Menoth John widgets and other things like that.
Oh, shut up.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And
know what I mean?
yeah, so the rim shots, we'll take almost anything. I mean, we have had everything from cool mini or not starters for all game. What is it?
Oh, God.
I'm forgetting.
The Relic Knights?
Yeah, Relic Knights, as well as the board game.
The Super Dungeon Explorer?
Yeah, we've had stuff for them. Of course, all the Privateer Press stuff, Malifaux starter sets, Infinity models. We, of course, we don't take paintbrushes. We'll take almost anything we can get that people would be interested in. So, because you never know what somebody's going to want to trade their points in to get.
That's right. So, I mean, what we're talking about here is it's a con that it's, we talk an awful lot about War Machine and Hordes cons here. This is much broader than that, isn't it, Craig?
That's the whole idea.
So, I mean,
come in and play anything you want and have fun all weekend.
Well, the thing I think is really interesting about that is that you've got the way that you're handling the Captain's Log and how it encourages people to really look at games that they haven't thought of before. Like taking those demos and making it something that can work for you makes you, not regret that time that you're not spent, frankly, grinding those skulls in the Iron Arena.
Yeah. And you play a tournament, you get skulls too.
Yep, super fantastic. Have you heard whether or not there's going to be a Senior Pro Tour event at Captain Con?
To tell you the truth, I am absolutely. I remember some scuttlebutt about that, but I think there were only like 1 or 2 people that said they were interested, which really doesn't encourage us to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we need to step that up a little bit because old brush heads and old War Machine players are the best War Machine players. So we're going to go ahead and we'll
Unless
see
they've had chili.
some of our favorite ways. Thank you. Or if they've had any of that. God, what was it? That Indian food, that Pakistani food I had a couple weeks ago. I'll tell you what. I had renamed my colon Fury Road, just to let you know. And we're going to get to that later in the media section. And so
Oh my!
it was not shiny and
there's
chrome.
also a rumor that one of the Holloways is also making another custom beer, and he might be running a secret beer tournament.
Oh, that guy.
Like he does at TempleCon. I think you've been involved in one of those, haven't you?
Yes, the Holloway brothers are my favorite kind of brothers. They are the kind of brothers that bring beer. So we highly salute. By the way, I need to probably have a little strongbow
Even
salute.
if they do play dwarves.
Hey,
Ron.
Hey, Ron. I love the Holloways. In fact, little known fact, I have an original Charlie Holloway painting in Ron's pub here in the basement of Casa John 2.0. He made a little painting.
Nice.
He made a little painting for me. It's very tropical. It's very nice. Reminds me that there are places that are more tropical than Racine, Wisconsin. And by more tropical other places, I mean any other place other than Racine, Wisconsin is considered tropical. So there you go. I am done putting silver on these. Nope. I got to put silver on their face too. There you go. We're still working on these Tuffalos. I adjusted the camera here so that you could actually not have a blurry vision of my stinking Tuffalos. So there you go. Gonna paint over here.
It looks, it's a real good shot. So thank you for putting it up.
The C920 that I run for a camera, and now that John Spencer also runs, is known for its high fidelity, so to speak. So there you go. It is. I no eagle souls are trapped in my camera, but it still gives you a pretty good camera picture. So
We'll work on that for next time.
absolutely. Well, there's no glow. I mean, if it started to glow, then you'd be able to say, "Ha eagle soul."
So what are you using? A number 3 for that?
This is a Games and Gears 3-4 hybrid brush. This is the one that's got the. In fact, you sold this to me. This has got the. I got this at TempleCon from you, and it is the square tip on the end, which I love a square tip for a dry brush, and then it also has this round normal tip on the other end, which is super sweet for doing larger areas because it flows so nice off of this. Honest to God, Craig, I get more use out of this darn brush than you can shake a stick at.
Yep.
It's a wonderful piece.
That one too.
So and that's a nice segment as we move on to kind of Games and Gears, and just for true transparency, you represent Games and Gears here in the United States. Is that not correct?
Yeah, I'm an independent company that takes the orders and arranges the shipping from England. All the Games and Gears products. Now, don't jump all over those battle boards because he doesn't have enough of them to ship to the U.S. That isn't happening anytime soon. But yeah, I mean the original, the Masters series, the double-ended black ones are still available if you want those. But they've kind of been overshadowed. The ones you have with the 2 sizes, one on either end, I like that a lot.
Yep.
The one you've got right now is the one I use the most. That's what I call my terrain brush. Because you can base coat, cover a large area, and dry brush it. But the hotness, the hotness that we saw at Adepticon.
It's right here, baby.
The Ichiban brushes, basically metal cylinder with a cap that closes on the end of it, so you can throw them in your pocket and just walk around with the darn things. They're over the top. I mean, if John Damaris was here, the Muson Mini Store is. I'm not going to tell you how many times he's reordered the darn things, but it really doesn't break my heart. And there's more stuff coming. The Ichiban style has both synthetics as well as the high-end Red Sable and the new Katana, which is the little plastic detailing tip.
That's what I've got right here. Going to show that right here.
Well,
there it is.
That is quite a little detailer.
Yep. I have to tell you, though, Craig, I am struggling a little bit to get the most out of this brush Can you give me some tips? And John, you've got one of these that's coming in the mail now that I've got the
the katana?
Yeah, I now that I've got the precision measuring sets in my hand, I'm going to be stopping by a Target tomorrow to get a mailing thing, and you're going to be getting one of these, John. Can you give some tips to the brush heads on
The best thing I can tell you is either use paint straight from the pot or only thin it a little bit.
Okay.
The whole theory behind this is it doesn't have the capillary action between all the hairs. For example, if you've ever tried to paint an eyeball, if you go in on that eyeball with a regular brush, when you try to fill it in, the hairs open up and you dump the white paint in there, and you usually wind up with paint from the eyelid to the cheek, and it's way too big.
Okay.
If you go in with that thing, with the paint either straight out or thin, with just a little bit on the tip, then you're not going to get a long line with it. You're only going to get a spot or maybe a 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch at any given time. You have to keep reloading it. So just on the very tip of it, and then just kind of just a little dab will do you. Just put it right in there. Well, the thing is if you practice with it a little bit, you can actually fill it up like 3/4 of the way up the plastic, the nylon tip, because if you tip it, if you come in straight, you're going to get a spot. If you go at an angle, you can use the edge of it to make a slightly wider line. So there's a learning curve with it. And one of my major beefs right now is the Ichiban side of the brushes. Hugo from Ichiban Studios was supposed to produce videos for all the Kickstarter supporters, and they were supposed to be out like last December, and they aren't out yet. And there's supposed to be a how to paint with a katana in there, which isn't out yet. So,
Any updates on when that video is going to become available? Because I was a Kickstarter of that thing.
Trust me, I'd like it as much as you do, and I encourage you to go to the Ichiban Studios Facebook page and send him a message, considering he stopped answering me.
Well, there you go.
So,
all right, folks. So that's some good tech on the Ichibans there.
I can tell you that there is in the works a regular conventional wood handle brush, single-ended for the synthetics. I know that there was a prototype that you got at Adepticon, John, that you really like.
Love it.
And it's going to be similar to that. And I've been using those too. And the tip, it lasts so well for an inexpensive synthetic brush. I absolutely love the darn thing.
Yep.
And there's supposed to be 1, 2s, and 3s, I think it is. Maybe 0s, 1, 2, and 3s. I don't have any official word on the details yet.
Okay.
But I know they're coming. And there's supposed to be other new... I'm pretty sure there's something like a dry brush, which like we're showing us right now with the beveled edge.
Yep, love that.
There's something in the Ichiban style coming in that, maybe more than one.
Interesting.
Something you may not have seen yet is they've got a real good set of diamond files.
I can show them.
As well as a good set of nippers. I was skeptical when I got them, and once I used the darn things, the old ones have kind of gone in a box on the desk.
I've got a set of nippers also that you guys passed on to me. They are somewhere. I know they are somewhere.
Don't lose your. But the other thing, if anybody knows of a store that might be interested in this, you can either contact me at Caton Imports, CATON Imports, IMPORTS at hotmail.com. And let me know where it is, because I'll send him the information, give him a call. And those things are nice. The plastic handles, I kind of junked the case and put them in my little tackle box of tools. But
super sweet.
I'd never used the diamond style before, and those things are really, really good. They leave a nice surface without leaving a lot of gouges.
Absolutely. And, well, thanks, man. I really appreciate you going into all the information there, both on...
And we're only 3 minutes over, so that's kind of being right on schedule.
It's perfect.
I don't know how we're doing this, but we are doing it, and it is working out fabulously well. So let's launch, John. I'm going to give a special... I want to give a special shout-out to... nobody in particular. Let's go on to this shout out. This Ron brought to you by Strongbow Gold Apple Hard Cider, because hey, Ron.
All right,
flippity bloop.
All right, well, I'm gonna start with one from last week from Domir. He says, to play red or to not kill round ears.
Um, boy, I cannot in clear conscience advise Retribution for a newer player, but yeah, you know, play what makes you happy. We always stand for that here at Painting with Menoth, John. Play what makes you happy. If killing round ears is a thing that you enjoy, then kill them all and let God sort them out. Otherwise, play trolls because trolls are superior to everything. What do you think, John?
Well, I think you're on way too much alcohol with the Trolls Superior to everything, but I definitely agree. Play what you like, and like Rave Bomb and Two Smoking Vultures there in the chat room, play Rat. If they interest you at all, play them. They're good. They now have pretty much any tool you'd want.
Yeah.
That I feel like they're going to get, except their new caster, Spoiled in the Primecast, might have Storm Rager, and Storm Rager on some of their solos would be super mega legit.
Storm Rager on their Dragoon on Scareth Ison
Yes,
would
the
be
Pain Knight.
would change his name to Scary Ison.
Yeah, that would get him on the table more often.
So
I use him all the time when I'm playing.
Yeah.
He's good.
So let me tell you a little something that if you put Storm Rager on Butcher 3, which happened in the latest Power Couple Deathmatch, bad things. Friendly Faction? Oh,
Yeah.
well, shit. Then
Otherwise, us circle players would have Grail and be putting it on the Totem Hunter for much hilarity.
well, we don't advertise anything related to accuracy here on Painting with Menoth, John. So
I wasn't going to bring that up, actually, but Marshall had mentioned it to me, and I'm like, it's Friendly Faction? Oh, well, no worries.
nope, that's fine. We'll fix that in the next round because fairness has nothing to do with Power Couple Deathmatch.
I will tell you the spoiler that I'm waiting for is an Ancestral Guardian Warcaster, which is Zale 2.
Yep.
Yep, he's coming.
That sounds like that'll be cool.
Yep, I'm very excited. And then, unfortunately, nobody cares about the Protectorate caster, so I hope he's wonderful. So
Actually, he's a paladin. He looks pretty cool. Like, the model looks legit.
And
Yeah.
that lance looks like it does something that might shoot, too.
I mean, I joked when it came out that he looked very much like the character...
Yep, the IK guy.
one of the character guys from Relic Knights.
Oh,
They have a troop guys that are like the paladins with sort of like jump packs and laser lance type of dealios. He looks a lot like that guy,
nice. Can't argue with that.
but it's definitely legit.
Nice. Flippity bloop.
All right. Well, the next one is from Charlie Holloway,
Hey, how'd that happen?
and we're going to get to a theme here for the next 4 or so. 3 of them are from Charlie Holloway and 1 from Declan Lowry. I was rolling to. Is it true the monk's mustache once ate an Oldsmobile?
Oh, I think it was only a 4-cylinder vehicle.
And
Hopefully.
everybody knows that has ever seen an Oldsmobile. Ain't no damn 4-cylinder Oldsmobiles.
I would go like 2 miles per hour ever.
Actually, they did make a 4-cylinder Oldsmobile. It was the it was
It was a
Help me, Craig.
loser.
help me, Craig. It was
I don't know.
there was
I
it was a
can't think of one.
version of the Chevy Citation that Oldsmobile got, and I can't remember the Oldsmobile version's name, but mark my words, I will not look it up on Google. So there you go. It's not worth it. Moving right along.
It actually autofills in. It's funny. It actually autofills in Google if you type it in.
Nice.
I'm not going to go any further, but
What was
all right.
it?
The second one of this particular train of thought is again from Charlie Holloway. Has the monk's mustache ever considered the presidency?
Well, the only question of that is which presidency of what? The Grumpy Society, maybe.
It's a very grumpy mustache.
Oh, and then the next one of that particular train, again, the final one from Charlie Holloway, is it true the monk's mustache has its own ecosystem?
Let's put it this way: in February, with all the snow, it certainly did, because it was warm on the inside and iced on the outside.
There you go.
So what you're saying is
The
that
only-
your mustache is multi what was it? What would be the right thing? Climate. It's got multiple climates.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of course, I'd like to know if Charlie's coming to Captain Con. We'd certainly like to see him there.
There we go.
You can ask all the mustache questions he wants there in person. Oh, and then the next one, Declan Lowry, who was probably just seizing off Charlie Holloway's jokes there, and asked whose mustache would win, Monk's or Chuck Norris's?
What do you think on this one, Craig? How would yours stack up?
I was gonna let you answer that as a neutral bystander.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to go with. You know what? I'm gonna buck the trend here, and I'm gonna say I got the Monk's mustache in this particular battle. It's a little known fact that that the dinosaurs were actually killed by the Monk's mustache.
There you go.
The Monk's mustache is actually directly responsible for us having petroleum.
Oh my! All right. Well, this one a little more serious. From Boiling Point Bob.
Love that guy.
And he said he's just back from his first competitive con. He played 7 games and won 1, which was a tough field.
Okay, that'll happen, man.
I said there were 5 England WTC players in it, and he played 2 of them.
I'm sorry.
You had fun.
Yeah. And he says, I've realized more than ever you need to know your opponent's faction almost as well as your own. He says, not being super competitive, I really don't mind the losses, but it's annoying when you get hit by gotchas. He says, shall I not worry about them or dive into the tank and do some learning?
I'll take off first. And then because as John knows, I have the least to say about actual playing this game. Bob, I'm gonna say this to you: the best thing you can do in a situation where you're going in and so many sharks are in the tank is, gotchas are gonna happen to you until you really know the factions, and it takes a couple of years of really being hardcore into the game in order to get to the point where you understand everyone's faction the way you need to. And to be competitive. And if being competitive is what you want, then that's what you have to do. If you don't want to be competitive, then you know what you do. You play the most fun crap you've got in the bag and just enjoy the fact that you're going to be watching people demonstrate to you how the game is capable of being played. And you shake hands and you go, you know what? By God, you kicked my tail, but I sure had fun and thank you for the game. And you move on from there. That's about the best thing you can do. John, what do you think?
Well, I actually feel like you can not dive into their stuff, if you will. But I would suggest is if you get a little bit of time, listen to a couple podcasts. I mean, it doesn't matter which ones, as long as they talk some battle reports or tech. And just remember what you see. Sure, you get your butt kicked a lot, but you'll learn a whole bunch. And seeing it in person, like I've heard of tons and tons of tricks that I don't necessarily fall for. But seeing it once gives you a more appropriate appreciation for it. You don't have an overstated thought like I haven't been Malik Karned yet, so I have a great respect for his threat range. Seeing it once would give me a better idea of what exactly his threat range would be. At this point, I just say way the hell away from him and go with that.
Amen.
But so yeah, just keep going. I don't feel like you need to jump headlong into it. Just if you want to, though. I mean, it's definitely it's like anything. If you want to spend the time and learn, you can get a lot better.
And I know, John, Craig, you've got some ideas on this as well, but I just want to jump in for just a half a second and say there's never been a time in War Machine and Hordes when there have been less lists on the table. There are so few lists right now compared to maybe where we were 3 years ago that you can say, if you study E. Denny and E. Haley and you study Bradagus and
Meat Mountain
and I'm going to refer you to an episode of Muse on Minis here a little bit ago. Maybe you can look through the notes where they talk about, God, what did they call it? Was it the Gauntlet? And there's like 7 basic lists that you're going to see that if you think about them, you're gonna know how to react to most of them. So
Harby.
Yep, Harbinger was one of them. They gave seven casters and list types that were examples of it. If you can learn that stuff, Bob, you're in a great place. Craig, what are your thoughts?
Kind of a lot similar to you, John. I mean, the big deal is, you either have fun or you're interested in getting competitive scene enough so you can win big tournaments. If the answer is the first one, well, have fun at the tournaments, play some Iron Arena, and play some local tournaments. The learning curve is huge. The time invested is huge. And you've also got to have enough people in your area to give you the variety so you can learn so many different things. I saw one person recently at the store with the Shooty Legion caster. Is it Lilith or Lilith?
Lilith too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lilith 3 on her sleigh. If you play around and do it right, what's the threat range, and what can she kill with her ranged attacks after she tramples with that one horse open sleigh or whatever the heck it is. Well, one of the newbies got surprised by it, and it's like, yeah, you're how many inches away? Oh, well, he shoots a hole, does his trample, gets in range, and blasts him to death.
And that's I think the key to it is knowing when you're facing one of those casters that can do one of those long range assassinations on you, or has some kind of a general classified trick that you can maybe build a two-list pair, and especially with ADR happening, that you can fill a lot of gaps on it. Listen to that Muson Minis episode, and it'll say in the notes, the show notes, which one it was. It's in the mid 200s, like 205, 206, as high as 212, because that's all I'm caught up to listening to.
I mean, the big deal is there's the flavor of the month, and it's what's real popular, what's been publicized, and whether it's two of the Dwarven battle engines, or not battle, you know what I mean, two of the Dwarven colossals with this darn thing, or whether it's Runes of War. There's, you're right. You probably study 10 or 12 lists, and that'll give you enough basics so you can take something goofy, take something people don't expect to see. When somebody isn't used to seeing it, you throw Nemo too with his weathermen and all the electro leap, and somebody's going to go, huh?
And
you never know when you can surprise somebody.
And for God's sakes, the time to ask, what does your caster's feat do, is during deployment, not turn 3. Turn 3.
The funny note on that is, in my past 3 games, I have completely 100% forgotten that my caster had a feat.
Yep, that'll happen sometimes.
Didn't even.
That'll happen. So, oh man, I'm painting so much here. I feel like I'm a little out of sorts, John. Flippity bloop.
All right. Well, the next one is from Marth Fright, and we have one answer from a Brushhead. I'll throw that in right at the end, real quick, for you guys answer. Okay. And he says, "What's the perfect shot glass to enjoy your Kraken in?" Kevin Clark responds, "I know to answer this one. A pint glass."
First off, Kevin Clark's correct. The second reason is, yes, Marth, I still have your 2 shot glasses. You will get them someday. It's a matter of shipping them to goddamn Germany. Because when your dude dropped off the frickin' gummy bears, I had no idea what the hell was going on because he didn't give me any indication, and I had your shot glasses, and they could have gone back to you. But I will ship them, I promise, at my expense. The gummy bears have been lovely, and I continue to eat them. And we will get the 2 shot glasses that you're owed. They will not go out of stock before you get yours. So there you go. Sorry, Marth. Love you, man. Bye.
There you go. Oh, next ones are from Mike Bond. He's back from vacation.
Love that guy. He's a troll.
Sounds like that guy's on vacation all the time, doesn't it?
He must have a government gig.
Oh. So, these are remarkably untrolly, though.
Oh,
his first one is, where exactly did the handle Lonely Monk come from?
Years ago, I was big into Legend of the Five Rings. There was a monk faction early in the game, and then they brought out a new edition that eliminated the monk faction and rolled it in with Dragon Clan, which I absolutely hated. And that was the email I took as a protest. Of course, it really didn't do a damn bit of good, but it seems to have stuck.
Fair enough. I actually understand exactly what you're talking about, being an old LFR guy myself.
Honestly, I will confess to never knowing what that stood for. I just liked it. So, nice.
His next one is, if you're sitting down to a hardcore casual, trademark, game of War Machine or Hordes, what is the best beverage, aka alcohol, to be drinking?
Whatever's within arm's reach.
That's right.
Whatever it is that you like.
The freer, the better.
Oh, my God, yes. And if you're playing them in Ron's Pub, that's even better because we have a full selection of alcoholic-type beverages or non-alcoholic for those of you who don't drink. Flippity bloop.
Indeed. All right. So next one is from Jason Kennedy. And he says, are you familiar with the mixed drink Dark and Stormy? Because Kraken is now making their own ginger beer. I haven't had the Kraken version of ginger beer yet, but Dark and Stormies are darn tasty.
I am not familiar with a Dark and Stormy, but I can imagine what it is, given the fact that he's compared it to the ginger beer version that that Kraken has come out with.
Yeah, I figured it's Kraken and ginger ale.
I'll bet you it's beautiful.
It probably is pretty good. Kraken actually, spoiler here, Kraken actually mixes with most sodas we've tried very well.
John, should I take this opportunity to share the recipe for the official drink of Ron's Pub, the Force Blow?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to use a Menoth John precision measuring device in one of its lesser-known modes. So for those of you who are interested in getting the Painting with Menoth John measuring kit, I would urge you now to get out your 6-inch version right here, available at the Muson Minis store. So if you go to musonminis.com and click on the store icon, right there on the front page, you can take this and stick it right there in a glass, and you can measure out 1, 2, or 3 inches. For those of you who are playing the pro game, I would go to the 4-inch mark, but I don't want to recommend that right here in the podcast right now. Go to the
4-inch mark is only used for the Senior Pro Tour.
Senior Pro Tour only. 3-inch at home. I don't want to encourage alcoholism, but going to the 3-inch mark with the Kraken, and then you top off your glass. I don't know how tall your glass is going to be. It could be all the way up to the 6-inch line. It might be a little bit taller. Orange juice. Orange juice and 3 to 4 inches. 4 for the pro model, 3 for those of you playing along at home, of Kraken, and orange juice is amazing. It has the general flavor of an orange Julius that knocks you square on your keister. Oh my God, man down. The 3-inch template, because it did not have the fully trapped soul of an eagle, fell on the floor.
That's what happens with parakeet souls, just channeling Crash.
It was unable to stay fully airborne all the way to the ground. So there you have it, folks. If you want they're right there. Now it's in the bag. It's safe. The souls are fully entrapped. We have them in place. The tiger blood, it's in there. Get over there to musonminis.com. Get the Painting with Menoth John. There's only a few of them. They're made. It's like gold. This is gonna be a collector's item someday, folks. You're gonna be able to sell this shit on eBay for like hundreds of dollars right here.
Oh, Nigel's in the chat room, so you can tell him now how many copies he needs to make so people can order them.
I think you should make about 60,000 of them. So, the Brushheads, we are legion. We're like anonymous, but we don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
That's actually really fair.
Yep, we're like anonymous, but we don't give a shit. So,
and that bomb podcast you're referring to was apparently from 199. Rave Bomb posted that in the chat room. Thanks, Rave Bomb. I was looking but couldn't find it.
There you go. Excellent. By the way, how's the viewership tonight, John? How are we doing out there?
We were at 23 right now.
You know what? That's way better than we were over at the YouTubes. It's good to be home, Twitch.
Let me check notes and be sure.
Hey, John, one pro tip for you.
Yeah.
Holding models like that by the base is a pain in the butt.
Yes, it is.
Take your spray can covers and get some blue tack, some poster tack.
I need to do that.
It makes it so much easier.
I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to give that a try, and then the Brushheads can watch me learn a new technique.
Or get like a wooden spindle thing and some double-sided tape. Works like a charm.
Same idea.
Okay, I'm going to try some.
If you look at that messy picture of my desk, Maylock is on a spray can cover.
Very nice. I've heard about that. I'm going to have to give it a try. Enough people have mentioned it to me. I'm going to give her a shot. There we go.
Yeah, all the expert painters locally at the Drop Zone use it, and I got him to pick me up one because Lord knows I'm not an expert painter.
Drop Zone, Maryland?
Yeah.
Oh, your store owner said he was going to carry the Games and Gears brushes, and he hasn't done it yet. So
we're working on getting a lot of stuff in. After the show, I will talk to you about it.
Okay.
By the way,
a lot of stuff we're looking to get in.
By the way, if your local game store decides to carry Games and Gears, we will ship you a free Eagle Soul.
I can't wait to see you try to ensure that.
It is absolutely, it's not going to come by UPS or by the general mail because they don't, they have a funny policy against sending souls through the mail. And we're going to have that Eagle Soul to you using the power of Super Legitivision. So It's a special technique that I can use. I press Alt 4 on the keyboard and then hit S, and it's that S that sends the soul. So you just wait for it, and if you don't feel like you've gotten the soul, you let me know, and we'll walk you through that soul installation. And it's a tricky technique. It may not take the first time, but if we sacrifice enough souls of eagles, we'll get her there to stick. So if your local game store carries the Games and Gears full line, Eagle Souls will be yours.
Oh my! So Eagle Souls aside.
Yep.
We've got one from the chat room.
Okay.
Rave Bomb wants to know brush soap. How best to use?
Chew on it.
Brush soap.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Brush soap.
I'm not going to chew on brush soap. I'm just letting you know. I'd actually, if someone has better, I know how I use it, and I don't think I use it correctly. So I would like to hear how somebody else does it.
Okay.
Well,
Go
got
ahead.
it, Greg?
Sure, I can. I mean, basically, put a couple of drops of water on top of the soap, and don't drive your brush into it and spread all the hairs out. I've seen people do that. Don't make a fan. Just bring it in parallel to the soap, work up a lather, rotate the brush like 180 degrees so you get both sides of it. When you get a lather, I move it onto my palm. I move it onto the palm of my hand. I can work it at an angle, spread out the hairs, get the lather in between, rinse it, do that 2 or 3 times as need be.
I'm kind of getting a little aroused, Craig. Hang on for a second here. I want to get this right. I've got some brush soap, so let's pretend here that I've got the brush soap, and I've got it off here, and we're gonna put a couple drops right here in the middle, and then how do you recommend working it into a lather?
Move it in a slow circle and rotate the brush like 90 to 180 degrees in each direction while you're doing it. Kind of roll it with your fingers.
Okay, but you're not getting the bristles in there and like fanning them out or anything like that. You're mostly
I
just
do that on the palm of my hand.
Okay, so you put a little soap on your hand, and then that's when you fan them out.
Yeah.
Okay, is it kind of like? Are you watching the stream right now?
Yes.
Is it kind of like how I'm doing it right now? The technique.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm doing here, folks, is you can see I'm using my index finger there to rotate the bristles of the brush, and then that's kind of forcing the soap up into the more of the ferrule region up in here. Is that what's kind of happening?
Yeah, just work up a lather.
Okay, I get worked up into a lather pretty quickly. I have to tell you, and so there we go. So that's and then rinse it out.
Exactly what you're doing, and then rinse.
Cool.
And you may have to do it 2 or 3 times.
Nice.
Basically, if you're doing it right, if you've been painting red, you're going to have red foam the first time, and then it'll get lighter color, and usually the third time there's no color coming out.
Fantastic. I'm sick of painting, so I'm going to go up here to the face cam. All right, I'm done painting for tonight. I'm just going to sit here and drink and talk because they got more painting tonight on the Painting with Men Out the John show than they're used to getting. So I don't want the brush heads to freak out and have an aneurysm. So nobody. We here at Painting with Men Out John, we are not here to cause strokes. We are here to cause brush strokes. That's what we're all here about. And I'm going to turn off the painting light so I don't look like I'm doing like a horror movie here. By the way, I'm wearing my cheat shirt tonight. For those of you who are a fan of Homestar Runner, you can't get this anymore, but this is old. So there you go. Any more flippity bloops? We've got 2 minutes.
Oh, do we have flippity bloops? Oh. We've got flippity bloops.
Do we need to do a special pretty soon?
At some point, but remember, we're thinking about doing the all-day one at some point.
Fair enough.
And I figure for the all-day one should be after the next book comes out, so part of that all-day one we could review the book.
Oh, stay tuned to you.
Almost like I've been thinking about this.
Maybe I should be on that because you're the best co-host in the business. Flippity bloop.
All right. Let's something not too long. All right, here we go. We were talking about this earlier. Ryan Bowen asked a couple weeks ago, what does the new Paladin Warcaster bring to the Menoth meta besides high armor? What might he bring to protect our players in his toolbox? What are you kind of hoping for?
Boy, I'm hoping for. Well, it's probably too soon to expect a Defender's Wardcaster again, given the fact that they gave Vindictus Defender's Ward not all that terribly long ago. I mean, a couple years. It's a spell that doesn't get handed out every day. And so I guess, I would expect to see Spell Ward on his card. It's a relatively popular spell. It seems to be fluffy with regard to a paladin. I would expect his feat to give some level of invincibility or something close to it to his anything in his control area. I'm praying to the sweet Lord Baby Menoth that he gets 7 focus, because 6 focus bores the piss out of me. And I guess, the paladins have always had a lot of damage output, so I think you could see some type of a version of a damage buff for some stuff in his control area, maybe also. I mean, these are the kinds of things that are fluffy for a paladin, that would be consistent. What do I not think that he will get? Actually, what would be kind of slick would be to see some kind of... I would like to see a version of maybe Eye of Menoth come back for only its second appearance. I think that it's probably appropriate that we see that spell one more time, and this would be a great caster to put it on. It may not be as good as on Sevi 1, but it might be a good thing. So what do you think, John?
If he gets Eye of Menoth, he better be 6 focus, unfortunately. You can't put that on an 8 focus anymore. It's just too good. The downside of a spell like that should be that you have to play kind of forward till you get use out of it.
Fair enough.
And 8 focus doesn't do that. But if he's 6 focus, I'd have no problem. Or if they made it like a all the time ability that's in his command range instead, that's not like a spell, that'd be cool.
That's cool.
Even if it only applied to a certain subsect of Menoth, that'd be kind of interesting.
Yep.
I've heard some tales that he's going to be kind of a little more Jack oriented. That'd be cool.
They keep trying to go down that well, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, so mini rant. People don't use a lot of Jacks, and I've noticed that a lot. And it seems to be you post a list with 2 heavy Jacks, and they're looking at you like you're crazy. And me, I can't seem to make a list without 2 heavy Jacks, because when they kill the first one, I use the second one. But I'd love to see them sort of promote that. Now, Menoth may be a little more open to using multiple heavy Jacks because Reckoners are a thing.
Yep. Choir's a thing.
I wish they weren't, but they are.
Yep.
And Choir, I mean, if you've got at least, 4 Choir member in a unit, you might as well have at least 2 or 3 Jacks to use it with.
Yeah, makes sense.
But something that sort of promotes them to use sort of a more, some Jacks, maybe even if he makes light Jacks a little better, something to help them.
Sure.
I don't know if he'd do that.
Sure.
It'd be really fluffy to see him get like a stance of some kind, or whatever, like impervious wall, something like that.
Yep.
Be hard to make it not broken, but if he's a Jack caster and he can sack his movement or action to get +4 armor, that's probably not really broken.
No.
He's going to be giving out all his focus every turn. He's not going to be camping.
Yeah.
The problem is people will take that and they'll camp with it. So, I really don't envy game designers.
No.
It's really hard.
No, it's a very tough deal. And you think about, I was listening to DC's latest, one of his latest podcasts, where he was talking about how difficult it is for people who are content creators. They kind of put themselves out there, and you've got to have some pretty thick skin because there's always a lot of criticism. And I will tell you that the guys at Privateer Press have an incredibly difficult task ahead of them, trying to balance so many casters and so many different factions, and still to keep War Machine in a place where it's as balanced as it is. And it's, sure, there are less relevant casters, there are less relevant factions, but at the end of the day, it's still a game that you can say, you got a chip in a chair just by any time you show up at the game table. So it's I guess, what are you thinking, Craig? As far as a Paladin caster, what might you expect to see on one of their cards?
To be honest with you, I gave up a long time ago guessing or speculating about anything like that, just for the simple fact of they always come up with something more interesting than I could ever dream up.
Sure.
I'm more interested in what his theme list is going to look like.
Yeah. Yep. So here's some stuff you won't see out of this caster. He will not feat and have a dragon jump out of his codpiece. There will not be, you will not feat and bring back models from different factions. He will not use drudges in any way. So I think that we can all take some benefits in the fact that he will not cause archangels or drudges to be on the table. So there you go. Flippity bloop.
Indeed. Well, it's actually time for the media section.
Indeed it is. We are closing in on the last 15 minutes, and, we like to call this the bonus round here at Painting with Mouth, John. We don't really, but I just thought it'd be fun to call it the bonus round right now. So
We do now.
Hey, Ron. We have a frickin' movie to talk about, John.
Yes, we do.
I've seen it twice now.
I've only seen it once. I'm not sure I'll see it again in the theater. I think I'd rather see Avengers 2 a second time, but if a bunch of friends were going, I wouldn't necessarily turn them down.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Mad Max Fury Road. This is from the mind of George Miller. That is it is not a reboot of the series. It is a different. I don't know what it is.
So I'm gonna argue with that a tiny bit.
Okay.
And that goes when we remember our test when I mentioned the biggest mistake he made.
Sure, the V8 Interceptor.
The V8 Interceptor is shown in the first couple minutes, and that kind of makes it a reboot. If he hadn't shown it, if he'd shown it in any other vehicle, it'd have been perfect. It'd have been, oh, look, it's not a reboot. It fits right in somewhere between the Road Warrior and Thunderdome, and it doesn't matter, because that's sort of the thing about Mad Max stories. They don't have to have a strict timeline.
So
Max lives. That's what's going to happen.
Let me take issue with that. So the reason we think that there is the last of the V8 Interceptors, correct me if I'm wrong, is based upon the character of the mechanic from the Road Warrior. They bring in Max's car, and he goes, "Oh, the last of the V8 Interceptors." Correct?
Correct.
How would he know that?
Well, I imagine, even though it's Australia, I imagine they're in a relatively small section of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively being, and he's a mechanic. Wouldn't you know the legends of the stuff? It's not like it's pure nuclear wasteland. You hear people say all the V8 Interceptors are gone. Someone shows up with one, you're like, the last one.
But
that's what you see. No dragons, and then suddenly one shows up. You're like, oh, the last dragon.
But
people are going to say that. That's how people talk.
But the V8 Interceptor in this movie has one gas tank. The V8 Interceptors in the last movie had 2 gas tanks.
Now you're picking the nits, sir.
I'm just saying it could be a different. It could be a different V8 Interceptor. The V8 Interceptor was based upon a Ford
Falcon.
A Ford Falcon. This particular one had one gas tank over the top.
It was definitely a different overall style, but I'm probably thinking that was more what he decided to build. But he could have avoided the whole thing by not putting it in there.
Fair enough.
It wasn't necessary. It really doesn't detract from the movie unless you think about it overlong.
No.
I'm gonna put lots of holes in this movie. Don't anyone think I don't like it.
Oh no.
I call this both horribly overrated by a ton of people and still a really, really great movie.
Okay. So I would like to lead off, John, with from the standpoint of fanboy nerdgasm. I'm just going to straight up say it right now that Road Warrior was in my top 5 science fiction movies of all time because it pretty much invented a genre in and of itself. It invented the whole post-apocalyptic car race movie, which is essentially what the Mad Max movies have always kind of been. I mean, Thunderdome was a bit more cerebral and tried to accomplish more things than what Road Warrior and Mad Max did. Don't know that it was as effective at getting that job done, but it was certainly a movie, and it is not something that I don't think that we would, as a nerd community, that we would reject on the same level that the Crystal Skull was rejected in the Indiana Jones series. I mean,
way better Skull.
I acknowledge the existence of the Thunderdome movie. This movie for me was exactly what I wanted. When I showed up at the Mad Max Fury Road, I wanted fast, I wanted speeded up film, and I wanted to see I wanted to see epic car chases with bodged together cars doing amazing crazy shit in the desert. And I got all of that shit.
Success.
I got all
you
that
found
shit.
Your movie.
And when Belinda Librarian and I went to see the movie on Friday, the thing that I took away from it was that here is this movie that is essentially 3 car chases, and then with moments to catch your breath that made you care about the characters.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll let you finish because I'm going to go into the picking of nits.
Sure. I loved the very minor tips of the hat to the earlier movies, like the music box, and while it may have been a mistake to include the V8 Interceptor, it was sure good to see that frickin' supercharger spin up one more time.
Oh yeah.
And I really liked some of the aspects of the saving of the people that had kind of a Thunderdome-ish feel to it, with saving the wives and things like that. And then, of course, having Immortan Joe be played by the same actor that was the toe cutter. So,
I haven't seen Mad Max in so long. I wouldn't even have noticed if I hadn't read it on the internet.
Oh, I wouldn't have noticed either. It turns out that the guy that played the pounds.
Yes.
Maybe it was a fat suit. I don't know. There had to be some prosthetics involved because he doesn't have like horrible cancerous tumors all over his body. I hope.
True.
I hope. And
not that you could see, at least.
Yep. But God, the craziness of the characters, the Doof Warrior, the fact that they made bards cool in this movie is absolutely amazing to me. So I mean, I will own this on Blu-ray the second it comes out, and I'll buy the rest of the series on Blu-ray because I don't have them yet on Blu-ray. I have the Road Warrior on DVD from 1,000 years ago, but this will be upgrading to Blu-ray, and then it will be shown in Valhalla, shiny and chrome. Go ahead, John.
I'm not sure I would buy Mad Max on Blu-ray. I feel like, and Marshall and I talked about this when we were watching The Road Warrior a couple weeks ago. I feel like the bit in The Road Warrior where it gives you the flashback is all you ever need to see of the Mad Max movie.
That's probably legit. It's legit.
You need to see it at some point. But back to this movie, I feel like this movie made a ton of mistakes and rose above them because he kept it simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talked about it a little bit on our test. I feel Tom Hardy and George Miller should have gotten together and made Max a little more understandable.
Fair enough.
He was a little mumbly. You could still understand what he was saying, but he was a little mumbly.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Hardy doesn't want to get stuck in that rut because I feel like he's got a future. But still understandable. So it's a mistake, but it's not a damning one. It's like a minor thing, but noticeable if you're thinking about it. Because I kind of came into it with I don't want to say a hater's view, but a ready to not be fully impressed by it. Because everyone had been like, it's the best movie ever. Oh my God, it's the best movie of the summer. It's so much better than every other movie. And I'm like, let's throttle back a bit, guys. And while I don't necessarily agree that it's the best movie ever, best movie of the summer, it was really, really good.
Oh, it was strong.
And the biggest mistake that thinking about it from a narrative point of view is they made instead of showing, they told. Instead of showing why Immortan Joe is bad and the people want to get away from him, they told you why. They didn't show you why. And as again, doesn't really detract from the movie but it's a fridge moment, if you will. You're at the refrigerator going, they just told me that guy was really a jerk and they wanted to get away from him. I didn't really see it so much. But again, it's not a big deal.
There are scenes in that movie that make you believe that Immortan Joe, while being a tyrant, loved his wives and loved and wanted them to be safe and was trying to rescue them from what he probably thought was a plot to do them harm.
Yeah.
I think he loved his family. I really do. I think he loved his son, and he certainly wanted his wives to be safe and for his kids to be alive. Yeah.
And I think, like I said, show don't tell is a movie aspect. I feel like in this case it worked out okay because it's such a simple story, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bells and whistles in the story. The bells and whistles are the visuals, which are amazing.
Yep.
He takes his whole world, if you will, and really fine tunes this part of it. Makes it seem like I could see that being a post-apocalyptic culture. With the Valhalla and the Witness Me, which is great.
Yep.
That that's really cool stuff. He really, he paid attention to the details.
Yep.
Kept it still. He lost a couple things in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
but didn't really detract from the movie at all. I mean, it's good. What else can we say about this movie?
I think about other directors that have been given a pot of cash and say, go forth and create your vision. I think about the Wachowskis. George Lucas, that have taken that particular direction and have peed down their leg, and he didn't. He got the budget he finally needed to do it right, and he did it. And he kept it. He kept it with, for the most part, practical effects, except for the storm.
It was practical effects. I mean, I saw the side by side pictures they have on the internet, and all the effects are like minor stuff. It's like, yeah, we put the other vehicles in the scene to flesh it out. Yeah, who doesn't do that?
Whatever.
They do that on pictures all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They do that in pictures of crowds in Korea and shit. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, and also it made for some of them. There's one picture of something blowing up. I'm not going to give away what it is. And the original picture, it's it blowing up. There's nothing around it, which is what we call safe when you're making a movie.
Yes, people should not die making a movie.
Exactly. And then in the movie, there's stuff all around it. So, I mean, there's a story from The Road Warrior. They have one scene with a semi where they made the driver of the semi not eat or anything for like 8 hours beforehand because he was fairly certain it was going to end poorly and they're going to have to rush him to the emergency room.
Well, there you go.
Anything that stops that from having to happen is good.
So, Craig, I know you haven't had a chance to see this movie, and while we do try to include our guests in discussions of our movies as well, based on what John and I have said so far, and given the fact we're getting close to the end of the show here, on a scale of 1 to 5 shots of Kraken, how excited are you to see Mad Max Fury Road?
Easy 4. I was planning on seeing it.
Okay, so you plan on getting pretty screwed up before you see Mad Max Fury Road.
Yep.
Good for you. I am going to give Mad Max Fury Road, I'm going to give it 1 shot of Kraken. Only because you know a movie like this, a little something sweet in a shot glass, especially with the Painting with Menoth John logo right up here, is certainly right there on the shot glass. Mine's empty too. There you go. It would be certainly something that would enhance the enjoyment of this movie. John, where are you at with this one?
I'm actually in agreement, but I'd hold it because you don't need it to the beginning. It starts off quick. It's a tiny slow portion, but it's doesn't bother you at all.
Yeah.
There's a portion middle end of the movie that's important to the movie.
Yep.
I mean, I had to pee at that point, but I didn't really miss anything. I kind of got the details. That's the point you want to take. You're like, it's slowing down. Let me take the shot now, and then you go right into the movie, and you're like,
power right through it. Yeah. There's folks, just go out and see this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it is so well done. George Miller, God bless you for doing it right. Thanks for not fucking up my childhood. Really appreciate this.
I was worried when they were talking about from Mastermind director George Miller. I'm like, really?
I was
go with Mastermind. Babe pitting into the city. Happy Feet.
I was so ready to hate this movie. I was so ready to hate this movie.
Afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, Mastermind. You can have it.
Yep. I was so ready to hate this movie with everything that was in my soul. And by God, if the guy didn't come through for us.
Remember when we were looking at the preview? We were like, I'm not sure about this preview.
Mm-hmm.
I was so worried it was going to be so much just someone's quote-unquote style over substance.
Yep.
It really was, but he did it so well, it doesn't matter. He set the story up. He's like, I'm not going to try and have the story reach above what it needs to.
Yep.
This is all the story needs to be. That's what I'm going to make it, so that when I make it mostly style, it doesn't detract from the movie. And wow, the characters are pretty believable. Just go see it. Good Lord, why are you still here?
He made me care about a war boy.
No doubt.
And that shouldn't happen. And
no.
So, okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being a part of the show. We're going to call our quits here this evening. Craig, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, it's my pleasure, my absolute pleasure. We're gonna bring up the old interlude here, which is the old Bob Ross music. Bob Ross is our spirit animal, but we put an eagle in every one of our precision measuring kits. Get on over to MusonMinis.com. Get one of those precision measuring kits if you care about not cheating. If you don't care about not cheating, can't help you. But if you want to support the show, right down here, www.patreon.com/menothjohn. You know, we like the kind that jingles, but we prefer the kind that folds. So get on over there, support the show, support the precision measuring kits. Kill as many eagles as you can. We are Painting with Menoth John, and this has been the Painting with Menoth John show. Good night, everybody. We'll see you the same bet time, same bet channel next week. Good night, everybody.